Good evening. COVID-19 outbreak is telling us many things. One thing is that humans have to learn. They have to learn about ecology, environment. COVID-19 simply telling us that we are ignorant species when it comes to environment. So ecological education is a must. Otherwise, we are going to end up in the same problem again and again. Ignorance is the cause of all evil. That is what the Greek philosophers said in 300 BC. So one thing I want to tell you is we need to understand our place in great scheme of things. Where are we? This planet is 15 billion years in the making. All organisms have come before us and they maintained this planet in balance. And here we came last and we destroyed it. All the organisms before us, they work for the common good of the planet. But only one species, us, work for self-interest. So maybe that is a lesson we are learning from the outbreak of COVID-19. Today I want to talk about the complex interactions in ecology. So many species of animals and plants live on this planet. There are 2 million species of animals and plants at least. And also there is non-living component. There are mountains, the soil, temperatures, light, water, air. So the living and the non-living makes up this Mother Earth. So what are the complex interactions in ecology? We have to divide. So first we start off with individual organism. We are known as organism. Human is an organism, fly is an organism, microscopic bacteria is an organism, bird or fish, anything. Any living thing is an organism. An organism means maybe an animal, a plant, or a tiny germ. All these are organisms. A table, is it an organism? No. A mobile phone, organism? No. Only living things are called organism. So, an individual first, it starts off, and then it moves to population. One individual becomes 2 or 3, it becomes population, another level. Different populations, there are elephant populations, deer population, plant populations, fish populations, and human population, but humans I'm not bringing it now. So when you come all the populations together, it is called community. So it started off individual, then it became population, and where everything come together called community. These communities live in different areas and or in a different places known as ecosystems. What is an ecosystem? Ecosystem is the combination of living component and the non-living component. Then it becomes biome, different ecosystems. Ecosystems examples are like mountains, tropical rainforest, oceans, lakes, tundra, taiga, boreal forest, deciduous forests, grasslands, chaparral. So there are many ecosystems. When you put all ecosystems together, it becomes biome. So there are at least 25 to 30 biomes in the world, and then all of them to put together. It's called biosphere. So start off lithosphere, soil, non-living component, became hydrosphere, non-living component, water world, and the third is um, atmosphere, air, it's a non-living component. Those three are non-living: lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere. Last is biosphere, is a living component. Without non-living, living can't come. So it is non-living that existed most of the time on our planet. Our planet age is 4.5 billion years. Almost 6.8 billion years, only non-living components were part of this Mother Earth. And only brief time the living component appeared on the planet. So anyway, I want to shed some more light on individual organisms. So in ecology, all begins with an individual or organism, which is a living thing. The example we are going to learn, I'm going to suggest, is the fox. Fox. So an organism can be represented by one single fox. Fox is a living thing. But is the sun an organism? No. The sun is non-living. It's not an organism. So to recap, an organism is one living thing. Then we move to population. But if we want to make an organism fit the definition of a population, I have to change a few things. I have to add more foxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because the population is a group of the same organisms. So, a population would be a group of foxes all living together. But would one single rabbit be a population? No. Rabbit by itself is an organism. A group of rabbits would be a population. Population consists of a group of individuals of the same species in the same place. Populations are dynamic. They grow, shrink, or remain stable depending on birth, death, and migration rates. However, most populations do not expand exponentially. Limiting factors such as scarce water or common predators prevent uncontrolled population expansion. So, to recap, a population is a group of the same organisms living together. Then we move up to the third position called community. But if we want to make the population a community, we have to change a few things again. In a community, you still have the population of foxes, but you also have the other populations that the fox might come across. A population of rabbits, a population of snakes, even a population of birds. And don't forget, ants, grass, plants, trees, they are also living. A population of trees also helps to define a community. A community is many populations. So a community includes all the population in an area. Among populations within a community, various relationships exist such as predation and parasitism. I talked yesterday about mutualism, commensalism, parasitism. These are the relationships that exist in communities. Population within a community also interact by competing for resources such as space, light, food, water, nutrients, and other materials. Some species within communities have a dominant influence on the structure of the community. These are referred to as keystone species. But would a fish tank be an example of a community? No. A fish tank includes living and non-living things. A community has all living things. So to recap, a community is the many populations living together. So now we come to the next slot called ecosystem. But if I want to make community into an ecosystem, we have to add a few things. An ecosystem includes everything in a community, and the non-living things like sunlight, clouds, rocks, mountains, and temperature. Communities within their non-living surroundings are called ecosystems, which cycle nutrients and water between organisms and their environment. An ecosystem is living and non-living. Now, sometimes in an ecosystem, organisms compete or fight for survival. In this ecosystem, the fox and snake try to compete for rabbits. Another example for competition could be the big tree versus the small plant as they fight for sunlight. And all of this is taking place in an ecosystem around you. Would water be an ecosystem? No. Water is just one non-living thing. So to recap, an ecosystem includes all the living and the non-living things in an area. Then we come to biome. Bay. At the broader scale are large geographic regions characterized by particular climates and dominant communities known as biomes. Biomes consist of individuals, populations, communities, ecosystems, and their environment. Biomes are dominated by the same climate, same communities, and soils. The world's major biomes are generally considered to include tropical rainforest, deserts, grasslands, temperate deciduous forest, boreal forest, and tundra. And different biomes, they come together and make up biosphere. Amen. So this is what the interactions in ecology. They are mysterious, but we need to explore and educate our children in the future if we want to continue our existence into the future. Pope Francis in Laudato Si, paragraph number 22, talks about how we have forgotten how to form a community of human beings and fit into already existing communities in the nature. There are thousands of communities in an ecosystem. Only humans are the last ones to be introduced. Now you tell me, as I told you, before the human introduction, all the ecosystems are in were in balance, all the organisms and communities, individuals, populations, all of them were working only for common good of an ecosystem, common good of the planet. Now you tell me, one species, Homo sapiens, introduced to an ecosystem, everything becomes disarray, confusion, everything thrown out of balance, because this one species work for self-interest, selfishness, greed, violence. So that is the thing which happened. COVID-19 is recalling human species and taking the human species out of the ecosystem. So that is what is happening. COVID-19 is simply telling, you have not yet established a belongingness to the natural world. You don't belong there, because you go there and you destroy. You take and take and take and take and take some more. You don't give. All organisms contribute for the good of the ecosystem, or the good of the planet, or the biome, or good of the communities, or good of the populations, or good of an individual. But here, only one species, Homo sapiens, self-interest. Destroy an individual, destroy other populations, destroy communities, destroy an ecosystem, destroy biome, and at last destroy biosphere, and at last destroy human itself. So Pope Francis observes how we have not yet learned how to live in an ecosystem working for the common good. What we do is take and take, we don't recycle. But in an ecosystem, everything is recycled for the past 4.5 billion years. Yes. Everything is recycled. That is the secret of the Mother Earth. It is called circular model of production. You circulate. Okay? Pope is writing beautifully, so I would like to read from Laudato Si, article number 22. These problems are closely linked to a throwaway culture, that is humans, which affects the excluded just as it quickly reduces things to rubbish. To cite one example, most of the paper we produce is thrown away and not recycled. It is hard for us to accept that the way natural ecosystems work is exemplary. Plants synthesize nutrients which feed herbivore. These in turn become food for carnivore, which produce significant quantities of organic waste, which give rise to new generations of plants. But our industrial system, at the end of its cycle of production and consumption, has not developed the capacity to absorb and reuse waste and byproducts. We have not yet managed to adopt a circular model of production capable of preserving resources for present and future generations, while limiting as much as possible the use of non-renewable resources, moderating their consumption, maximizing their efficient use, reusing and recycling them. A serious consideration of this issue would be one way of counteracting the throwaway culture which affects the entire planet. But it must be said that only limited progress has been made in this regard. I close the quote. Yes. We have been destroying ecosystems, biomes, communities, populations. Only one species do that. That is Homo sapiens. So the COVID-19 outbreak is a good lesson for us to establish our belongingness to an ecosystem where our mandate is to work for the common good, not for self-interest. The day Homo sapiens understands this and he begins to work for the common good of the planet, that is the day we establish our belongingness to an ecosystem. Thank you.